Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Movie Files. Elliot here with a brand new TV review, and this time it's for the new Netflix original miniseries, Unbelievable, which premiered on Netflix this past Friday the 13th. So I'm here to share with you all my thoughts on the series, let you know if I think it's something worth streaming. But before we get into all of that, I want to welcome all you to this channel. If you haven't already, definitely hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit that notification bell to stay up to date with our videos. Give this video a thumbs up if you want to see more videos like it, and comment below if you've seen the series. Let me know your overall thoughts. With that being out of the way, let's get into this review. So first and foremost, you might have noticed a little bit of a slur going on, and you can probably see it in my face here. I just went to the dentist, so if I sound a little slurry or you might see some drool come in later in this video, don't worry, I'm okay. I just came from the dentist, so there's that. But if you see my other previous reviews for TV shows, I like to kind of do it like a discussion piece, slash review, slash recap, slash breakdown of the episodes and whatnot, and some standouts for me. So it will be spoilers that I'll probably jump in and out of throughout this review, so keep that in mind. This is a spoiler review. So again, if you've seen the series, you're good to go. If you haven't, there might be a spoiler here and there, but definitely I recommend this show. I'm going to say that first and foremost, and I'm going to get into the details of that. So starting this review off, starting this review off with the positives and kind of get into the characters. So first and foremost, the show has phenomenal performances across the board from all the supporting cast, but most importantly, the main cast. With Kaitlyn Dever, you have Merritt Wever and Toni Collette playing playing Marie, and you have Grace and Kaitlyn, Karen. The performances between these three leads are incredible. Let's talk about Kaitlyn Dever, who I love seeing her in Booksmart this year. I love that people are seeing her on the big screen and kind of getting an idea of who she is as an actress, and she destroys his role as Marie, but also seeing a very similar performance in kind of her dramatic roles many years ago in Short Term 12, and I almost feel like that character was kind of injected in this scenario. But anyway, she is such a great performer in this TV series, in this miniseries, and throughout the show, seeing her arc from the beginning. The first episode, I was right back in the same kind of mindset as I was when I was watching When They See Us, which you can see my review for that show on our channel here. But the way that the series just kicks off, and you go right to the situation. Again, if you're not so familiar with the series, it basically follows this young girl, Marie, who was sexually assaulted, raped, goes to the police, and they kind of, more or less, they kind of make her feel like the situation never happened. So we kind of follow that story. And at the same time, we have a parallel storyline going on with Kaitlyn, or going on with Toni Collette and Merritt Wever, and they're trying to figure out another case 3 years after we have the incident with Marie. So very interesting story. But going back to Kaitlyn's performance of this show, watching the struggle and the journey between what we get from the first episode to episode 8, seeing her backstory and hearing about what her foster family or foster experiences were, hearing that she never really had parents in her life. She ate dog food for a year, and then the incident happens, and no one believes her. I mean, the first episode, when we see her being interviewed from the police, you just feel so terrible for this young lady and the real lady that that this took place in. And we know there's millions of other stories that has this type of follow through, kind of this incident happens where the police, the way they approached the scenario, it was just like they wanted her to just get on and just move on. Did it happen? Did it not happen? It was just so frustrating. And they didn't do it in a sense where they made her say that, but the pressure they put on her, it just broke her, especially when you find out more about this character, what she's went through it growing up. Again, going through the foster system and having bad experiences and being abused in the past. She just didn't want to take it, and she says it so much so in one of these episodes where I think she was talking to her on again, off again boyfriend and her friend during the time, Connor, which is like she has grew up in this system where it's just like some people don't want to hear the truth, some people do want to hear the truth. It's all the convenience up to them. So just a phenomenal story. And again, I just love everything that we got with, with this character, Marie, played beautifully by Miss Devers. And I just think that she just needs all the applause from her performance. And it was just so heartbreaking seeing her story and everything that she went through. So going from that character, which was played beautifully, to Toni Collette and Mrs. Weavers, who I've seen Merritt Weavers in Walking Dead, and I've seen her work before, but this is my favorite performance by her, and I can't wait to see more of her career. The character that we see with her playing Karen was just so beautifully done. First thing you see is, episode 1 was all focused on Marie. Then we go to episode 2 where we actually meet Karen and see her approach, how she handles her job and how she handles victims. As soon as we see her handle and talk to Amber, night and day situation, night and day scenario, how she talked to her, how she let her tell her story, not rushed her, brought her in her car versus just, interrogating her in an office or interrogating her in the crime scene. It was just a night and day differential. And then, and something, once you saw that scene, you knew that this was just going to be a beautiful character piece and see their journey and how they're going to handle the situation. So seeing that, and then throughout the series, seeing her overcome the situation with her being kind of a rookie cop in a sense. She's 6 years, as a police officer and detective, but just seeing her kind of her growth in her role and meeting Toni Collette and ultimately calling her a mentor, seeing her interaction with her family, and ultimately the best payoff as far as just kind of one of those hurrah moments in the series when she eventually gets the serial rapist Chris. I think of his last name right now, but when she finds the guy and she looks at him in his face and she reads him his rights and she has him handcuffed, that moment was just so liberating. To seeing that character's growth was so great. And then last but not least, Toni Collette. What hasn't been said about this phenomenal actor? She is just everything I've seen her in. Literally everything. Even if the movies aren't the greatest. Like earlier this year, that movie with Jake Gyllenhaal, I can't think of the name of the movie. Even though the movie wasn't the greatest, you love her performance. And in this show, man, did I want to just see. I just want to see a prequel based on this character, seeing her up, her rise to where she is in this series, or just seeing a continuation of that character, because she played the character so well. She didn't need recognition. She didn't need applause for when she does things. She is just such a well-developed character, and the way Toni Collette played the character, again, seeing her relationship with her, I don't know if it was her husband or her boyfriend, but seeing that relationship, seeing her relationship with Karen, seeing her relationship with the victims was just so well done. And you were just rooting for these two characters, these two police officers, detectives, because they're just doing their job. That's one of the things I love about this show, is they're just showing you what, if you do your job, what you can accomplish and how many lives and people you can save. And it was just so well done by these amazing actresses. Again, from Kaitlyn to Merritt to Toni, well done. Jump into the actual directing and the way the story was told. I cannot applaud the creators and the directors and the writers well enough. The way it took, I'm not gonna lie, it took me a while, probably like halfway into the second episode, that I realized that they were gonna cut in between 2008, 2011. But once I got aboard onto that, it was smooth, and I love the way that the parallel stories, everything that was going on with Marie, and then seeing what was going on with the two detectives in the 2011 times, and how ultimately the stories kind of intertwined and connected in that last moment that we get. Marie talking on the phone with Karen was just heartbreaking and just so liberating to see that character. Marie finally goes to the beach and finally have a sense of peace, to a sense, for that character. But it was just so well done the way they crafted the story, and it didn't need all the bells and whistles. Some of these stories and these shows that are these type of length, they have to have the big sweeping shots or the overarching shots, and the cinematography has to be on point. I just love how simplified the show was told, because it didn't rely on the bells and whistles. It just relied on the actors, the story, the dialogue to bring this show to life. And I love that this show did that. It kept it really simple, but at the same time hit you with the same impact of something that is bombastic and has these big appeal to it. So I love the way the story was told, and just overall, as far as the plots and the themes, this show isn't a political show. It's not saying that all male police officers don't do their job, but there were certain statistics that they brought up that is kind of alarming as far as male police officers and their aggression, their violence outside of the police force, how it influences their job. So, again, I like that they did show there are still good guys in the industry in regards to the CIA agent or FBI agent, the intern, who at one point in time in the story I thought, is he the one doing this? Because their theory for a minute was, could it be a police officer, but ultimately it was a Marine, ex-Marine guy. But you had many different, and then their significant others. Karen's husband was a police officer. He seemed to be a good guy. Toni Collette's husband seemed to be a good guy, and ultimately gave her that file. Which that whole scene in the bar was kind of nuts, right? So I love that it didn't necessarily shove it down your throat, just saying, "Hey, all guy police officers are terrible. They should be fired." It's just saying, "Hey, we need to pay attention to the statistics where you have these police officers, male or female, but in particular in this story, male officers that have this sort of history." They need to be reevaluated and see what's going on behind the scenes. But that's, again, this show isn't a political show, but I love the themes that they were telling here. And also, this is something that needs to be said as far as how this show kind of delivers its message in regards to how many times, especially with the rise of social media, that we hear these women tell their stories about being abused and being sexually assaulted, and they have to go through these hoops and fire flames to tell their story, and sometimes they don't tell their story because of cases like this. They get put on, Front Street as we saw in this story, Marie's name got leaked into the media, and we saw her friends acted, her job acted, her family, her foster families acted towards her. So it just goes to show you that, yes, every now it takes that one story, right, when someone does cry wolf and nothing happens, but and we just feed on that, like, oh, is she telling the truth? Was she abused? That just needs to get thrown out of the window. Everyone needs and deserves to hear their story being told, and yes, we need police officers and detectives to investigate things to kind of really bring merit to what's being told. But again, I hope this story really shines a light on, we need to start being, as a humanity, as a people, trusting one another, helping one another, and being there for someone that is assaulted, and not just wiping them away and not listening to stories. So I love that theme was out there. We need more of these stories for things like this that happened to Marie and things that happened to Amber and the other victims in the story. And not just this story, but women across the world and humans across the world, for that matter. We need to hear them out, and we need to be there for them. So I love that message in the show. I can just go on and on and on about this series because this is one of my favorite series and TV shows so far this year. Still, when they see us, because it was more of a personal story connected to me, being an African American and dealing with the stuff that we been going with for centuries, but in particularly with the police brutalities and the shootings of African American males and the rape of how we're being handled by police officers. That story just kind of resonated with me personally. But this story is right there in regards to, I got emotional, I was pissed off, I was entertained, I was happy. They sprinkled in some good comedic moments where we get Karen and we get Toni Collette's character when they have moments of talking in the car and moments of just telling their story. But this was such a well done series. I can't recommend this enough. If I were to be a critic or analyze things, I will say there were a bit of pacing issues at times. There were moments in the show where I want to focus more on this particular storyline, like Marie, what's going on with her, finding out more about the actual serial rapist. Did we get information off that hard drive? But that's like minor things. Again, the show was well done, well crafted, well directed, well written, well acted. Such a great story. Can't recommend it enough. Check it out on Netflix if you get the chance. And this is, wrapping up this review here, this dialogue that I have with you all. This is one of the reasons why I think Netflix will survive the Apple Plus, the Disney Plus, because of shows like this. When they see us, to a lesser degree, the comedic shows they have, the great shows like Stranger Things and the great movies they have, like An Irishman that's going to be coming out soon, and then a story like this. This is why I think Netflix will continue to last throughout the streaming wars, because they have a platform for these more mature stories. Because this is not an easy watch. I will say this. There were some very graphic moments, but this is going to separate Netflix from all the other platforms. They tell stories like this. So I applaud Netflix. I applaud the creators for bringing such a great story to the platform. Again, I feel so bad for the women of these shows that went through the incident and being victims of what they went through, and all the women across the world and everyone across the world goes through this. I hope their story is being told, and I hope that they're have some type of peace for the women that were in this story, that they were able to see their story being told to the mass audience. So great series, can't recommend it enough. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this miniseries. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media accounts, especially Instagram. We do IG reviews, Instagram reviews, written reviews for shows and movies that I didn't see when they were out in their release date, so I go back and watch those. So definitely follow us on Instagram. Thank you for watching this review. I will be having a review coming pretty shortly for that new Jurassic Park short film. I'm going to check that out and review that here later today, or probably tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. Thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.